Do a great interview today with one of our existing ABS licensees, Tracy Clark. Tracy and her husband came through training back in 2013. Is that right, Tracy? I think it was
Yeah.
May?
April 2013.
April?
Hmm.
So it's been exactly 2 years.
Correct.
Yeah. And we don't have Chris on here because Chris is kind of tied up right now, right, Tracy?
Yeah, he's deployed actually. Yep.
Yeah. He's overseas?
Yep, he's overseas. Yep.
All right. Well, thank him for his service, and we're just proud of you, Tracy, because I know a little bit about you, and I want you to kind of tell your story here. Let's just start by asking, when you guys were looking at getting into medical billing, obviously were searching the internet. Is that how you found us?
Yeah, I found you guys through the internet. I went on the SBA website and I looked at small business opportunities, and a list of them came up, and you guys' name was a part of that list.
And were you looking at other businesses seriously, or just medical billing?
When I first started looking, of course, me being, I guess if you want to say frugal with my money, I started looking at what kind of business could I get into that wouldn't cost me as much. And so I kind of like minimized the list, and I think only like 10 businesses came up that was under, what was it, like 50,000 if I'm not mistaken. And I seen ABS on there, and I sent out an email, and Alicia responded to that email and said, she seen that I was showing interest into ABS, and kind of gave me, asked when would be a good time that we can meet or speak over the telephone. And I gave her my information. This was back in 2009, the beginning of 2010, if I'm not mistaken. And we spoke, and everything sounded well, but I just got a bonus at work, so it's kind of like I was like, well, maybe I don't need to go in business for myself. I kind of put it by the wayside. And then back in 2013, I was sitting at my desk one day, and I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I want to do something else. And I was like, I think I want to go ahead and, revisit the opportunity of starting my own business. And so I went back on that same site, and ABS came up again. And so I sent out an email, and ironically, the same person, Alicia, responded back to me and said, oh, you showing interest again. And we had spoken over the telephone a couple times. And I came home and I told my husband, I said, I think this is what I want to do. I said, I just think I'm going to leap off on faith. And he was like, whatever you want to do, I support you 100%. When I told my supervisor and my fellow associates at the job, they had both said, do you think that's a good idea? You're about to leave benefits, 401k. Like, are you serious? And I just told everybody, I was like, yeah, I think I'm serious. And so I went down to training, and I'm going to be honest with you. I went down there with the mindset of, well, if I don't like this, I'll get my money back. I'll just go back to work. And little did I know, like the first day I was there, I was like, I think I made the right decision, And I remember telling this ABS team, it's like, yep, I have this education, I have this experience, but I have no idea how to run a business. And that was something that ABS was able to help me do once I went down for the training. I learned so many different ways to market the business and how to operate the business. So that's kind of like my little background of how I came on board with ABS.
Yeah. Now you have two children.
No, I have 5 children.
Five children.
3 boys, 2 girls. Yes.
Three,
I have a large family.
did you say 2 boys, 3 girls?
No, 3 boys, 2 girls.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. You got your hands full time-wise then, for sure.
Most definitely.
I didn't think you looked old enough to have 5 children. That's why I guessed it too.
Well, thank you for the compliment.
So you're raising the 5 children and building this business. Now, was Chris involved, or was he overseas at the time?
No, actually, he came down to training with me, and he took 30 days off, a leave in absence, or not a leave in absence, but leave from work, 30 days. So he came back, and I still had some time that I need to finish up, as far as with my notice and stuff. So anyhow, he helped out maybe like the first 30 days and helped marketing. And then that following July, he left again. He's always leaving, like he's never home. So in the beginning, he was definitely active, like 100%. And then from that point on, you know, he'll help with like some of the technology, with the website and the blogs and stuff like that. But he has a full-time job, so he's not able to do this 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's basically been you, except at the very beginning. You've taken this thing and just run with it.
Correct.
I'm looking at some of the questions. People are typing in some questions here. Roger says, who was your first client? Why don't you tell us about that first client?
Okay, so the first client was someone that had never used an EMR system, never. Always did all dictation on paper. They was afraid of an EMR system. Let me say this. And I so happened to be the one to introduce them to that to the EMR system. They had already had their billing outsourced, so that wasn't kind of hard to persuade them, you know, to switch their billing over to us. And another good thing is they've had a bad experience with outsourcing. So whenever we was able to do the practice analysis and actually come back with the proposal, and we have this little worksheet to show you, you know, this is what you're collecting and this is what we promised to be able to get you in X amount of time. That right there kind of sold itself. And then once they seen the demo, that kind of like sealed the deal. I learned whenever I was doing the attestation that some of the numbers that the provider was given from the previous biller as far as how much she had been reimbursed or how much she had been billed was not true, because Medicare didn't have any records of those claims. I mean, the numbers that Medicare showed for the provider billing and the numbers that the provider provided to me was completely off. So that was one issue. Then another issue is that I seen with a major payer, she was, you know, it was just errors like the ID number was wrong, or the patient couldn't be identified in their system. Data service was in question. Just little, it was like little easy common mistakes. And the only thing she had to do was fix it and resubmit. They just wasn't resubmitting. So they were just either writing off or putting numbers there that the provider actually wasn't collecting. So that was one of the major issues that I had taking on this client. So anyhow, I was able to increase their receivables by at least 30% within the first 6 months, just by fixing those common errors and resubmitting those claims that had just been sitting there denied due for, like I said, patient ID wrong, date of birth is wrong, data service. It was just little small issues that could have been fixed if they just took the time to do it. But I think they just didn't follow up on any denials or rejections. I think if it got denied or rejected, they didn't worry about it.
Wow. Well, they had to be happy with that. I mean, 30% increase.
Yeah, I think she kind of has me on speed dial. I think I kind of taken away her thought process when it comes to billing. She's just like, oh, Tracy will take care of it. Tracy will take care of it. So when we went down to Dallas, I mean, they gave us so many marketing techniques, and I was just like, how am I going to do all of these? And so we, you know, took some of the marketing materials that they provided to us. We bought some additional ones. Went out and just, you know, drop off material. If people were willing to speak, we spoke with them. And some just, you know, didn't want to hear us at all. That was fine too. We still left our material. And in this particular office, Chris actually went in. He had some materials in his hand, and the office manager was there. And she said, by the way, we're looking for an EMR system. Chris was like, really? And so he left his contact information. And we were thinking, you know, nothing probably will come from this. Just didn't know. And so the following week, I get a call, and it's the provider. And she said, oh, yeah, you know, my office manager gave me you guys information, and I want to find out more about it. And so I start telling her a little bit more about it. Once again, doctors only hear what they want to hear. She wanted to know when could she see the system. And I'm just like, well, first we have to do, you know, a practice analysis so I can see if I can be of any service to you. Yeah. And she said, well, we just had 3 cancellations. I can do a practice analysis right now with you on the phone. And I was like, okay. And I mean, I was so anxious. I was like, perfect. And so we did the practice analysis right there on the phone. A lot of the answers she had, some she had to, you know, email me later, the answers to the questions. So anyhow, we did a demo. Demo, like I said, sold itself. The doctor was like very, very impressed with the demo, and it took her about 2 months to come on board after we did the demo.
Was the doctor actually on the demo that we gave for him, or was it just the office manager?
No, the doctor, the office manager, the husband of the doctor, and about 2 or 3 other colleagues. So it was very intimidating at first. I mean, the demo was the same day I actually met these people in person. So it was very intimidating.
Wow.
So everyone's sitting across the table and they're like looking at us eye to eye and just like, you know, everything we're saying, they're taking notes. So it was definitely intimidating.
So you set up the demo right there in their office?
Yeah, we took our laptop, and then we also we had our phone, of course. We called in, and then we had the laptop, and then of course they presented the demo for us. And she had several questions, along with everybody else that was in the office. Had a lot of questions, and yeah, we did it right there in the office.
It's nice to have a team of people behind you like ABS, right, to do that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Because I'm sure they asked some questions that we answered that you might not have known the answer to. So.
Oh yeah. Support can probably pretty much tell you that I had a lot of questions, and I was every time they asked me something I didn't know, I was emailing them. I mean, I had to email, or I was giving them a phone call. I'm like, I don't want to go in there and mess up this deal. Please tell me, making sure that I'm saying everything correctly. I definitely needed support for that first client.
Yeah. All right. So Suzanne is asking, well, how many clients do you have now, and what types of clients?
I'm billing for a total of 5 providers right now.
5 providers, and what types are they? Can you give us a feel for the types of specialties or?
Sleep medicine, OBGYN, and surgical, and general medicine.
Oh, good. So which one are you doing the most for, do you feel like?
Surgery.
Surgery?
Surgery, most definite. General surgery.
So you're collecting more than they were collecting before you came on board, or?
Oh yeah. They have explained to me over and over again that they love the work that they're receiving from us. You know, they definitely like the customer service that I provide to those guys. And they like being able to use the system and actually going in the system and seeing themselves what's going on with the claim. So they're always going through and looking, running a report to see, okay, we sent her over this amount of claims and this is the status of it. And that's another plus that comes with our system, because it provides that feedback back to the provider or their office staff. So it says, if the claim has been accepted, if it's been rejected, if it's been denied. I mean, they're able to see exactly what you're doing. So they don't just have to take your word for it. They can actually see it. They can see if it was finalized. That provider those 2 providers really enjoy that. They really enjoy being able to see what's going on with the claim.
Can you give us a feel, Tracy, for what type of volume one or more of your clients have in dollars monthly? What are you billing for them? Or I should say collecting.
I say one of the providers we're billing upwards of over $300,000 a month.
Oh my gosh. Is that the surgery?
Over $300,000 a month.
Wow. Yeah, I guess surgeries can mount up pretty fast, huh?
Yeah, and then they do procedures in their office too. So you have the office visits, and then you have the procedures that they do at the hospital. So yeah.
Yeah. And you do the billing for just the in-house or both?
Both. Yeah. I do it for both. Yeah. And I also do it for another facility that one of the providers work for. One of the providers work at another facility, and so I do the billing for that also. For her.
Yeah. Okay, and I have one question here from Alan. He says, how do you charge for your services? Give people a feel about how that works, because some people have no idea that it's a percentage of the actual money collected.
Okay. So what I do is do that practice analysis. We do a demo. We come back, and then we present them with a proposal. And that proposal, what I do is I take in consideration, the amount of claims, the volume of claims that they're doing each month, the difficulty that comes with those type of claims, because each specialty has their own difficulty. And then I do an analysis of how much time is it going to take to be able to service this client in its entirety. And so once I come up with that, then I say, okay, well, this is how much we need to be receiving. And I come up with that percentage, and that's how we charge the clients.
Yeah, and
depending on the client's fee.
I'm sorry, what's that?
It depends on the client's needs, the percentage that we're going to charge them. So, for example, you may have A doctor and B doctor. They're the same specialty. They do the same thing. But this doctor's office is willing to take calls from the patients. They're willing to do everything. The only thing they want us to necessarily do is the billing. But then you have this office. They don't want to have anything to do with the billing. They want us to deal directly with the patients. There definitely will be a difference in the percentage that we charge them.
Sure. Because it's really just your time, more time.
Correct.
And
yeah.
So have you ever done any calculations on what's the average percentage that you think works for you? Does it run, 5 to 8, or what's the numbers?
You know what? It's so weird because I'm in 3 different markets. I have people here in the Tennessee, Kentucky area. I have a doctor all the way in Wisconsin, and then someone in North Carolina. And each one of those markets do different, it's the normal percentage is different. Yeah. So I just really think it just depends on what market that particular provider is in. I don't go lower than the recommended, which is what 5% I think you guys recommend. And I definitely don't go any higher than the 8%. But hey, it just depends on the market, and it depends on the area that the provider's in.
Yeah, and I think that's the most confusing part to new people is how do I charge? So that's why we tell people, look, we'll help you with that proposal and make suggestions as to what we know from our experience being a nationwide company. We kind of have a feel for that. And, we always recommend that they go in a little higher than they might otherwise. Everybody tends to want to be, I want this account, so I'm going to go low on my percentage. Well, that's a mistake, isn't it?
Don't do it. Don't do it. You'll hate yourself later. Don't do it. Because you'll be working for free. Because let's keep in mind, we all got in this business to work for ourselves and to be profitable. If you got in the business and you're going to still think like an employee, and not as a boss or a business owner, then you're going to get those same results. Right. And so as a business owner, even Patrick over at ABS, he's not about to give us this business for free. He's not going to give us this package for free. He's going to be nice. He's going to be our friend, but he has to make a profit. And so that's kind of how you have to think. And I just look at it like this. If you keep discounting your services, the type of clients that are going to migrate to you is the type of clients that you really don't want. Because not every client is for everybody. So you need to make sure you put a value on your service and let them know, I've had to use this in negotiation tactics. I'm telling you, my husband, anyone to tell you, when it's time to negotiate, I'm like a bulldog. I'm just like, well, you just stated to me earlier, this is the type of services that you was receiving before at that rate. And I'm telling you, this is what I can do for you at this rate. Your receivables, let's just say, was $50,000 a month, and they was charging you 4%. Now I'm telling you, I can get you $90,000 a month at 6%. What did you lose? You didn't lose anything. You're going to give me a fraction of what it is that I got you extra, and then in turn, you're going to still have higher reimbursements. So that's just something like, you just got to be able to know how to negotiate when it comes to your percentage. Don't go lower than what ABS is recommended. I just think you'll hate yourself. Me personally.
Yeah, you don't want to be known as, the Walmart of the medical billing industry. We're the lowest price, and man, we'll beat anybody's price. That will get you in trouble. And don't the doctors talk once you've given somebody
yeah. And you can tell them, this is just for you. Don't tell anybody. Sure enough, as soon as they get to that golf course, or they get out there at the family reunion, or wherever it may be. Yeah. That's another good thing to touch on, Patrick, is once you find that specialty that you're comfortable with, become the subject matter expert for that specialty.
Right.
And that's going to help you so much whenever you're speaking to the providers. Because believe it or not, a lot of the questions that I get from providers, or a lot of the conversations that I have with providers, is not necessarily to do with what codes to select. It has a lot to do with documentation. How do we overcome this hurdle, or how do we overcome this? So whenever you become like the guru, of that specialty, you'll be surprised at the type of conversations that you can share with them. And let me tell you, those conversations may not be of interest to you, but they're of interest to that provider. And in turn, that provider can see that they can relate with you, and they're going to talk about you to other people. and other people are going to come is going to want to come and utilize your services. Because let's see it. Most cardiologists hang out with cardiologists. Most podiatrists hang out with fellow podiatrists. So if you're targeting that specialty and you became the guru, imagine, look at how your free marketing is going out just by, being able to conversate with the provider that you currently have.
Yeah, Tracy, you mentioned earlier that it took you, 4 months to get your first client, and I don't know what all was involved in that with your family situation and everything, but even 4 months, to some people that sounds like forever, right? They want that first client the very first week out of training, but even though that has happened, that's not the norm. Usually it is 60, 90 days, sometimes, 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, because really it's all about whether or not this business has given you a return on your investment, right? And has it?
Yeah. I can tell you this, and I'm not saying this just to say it. I wasn't ready before that 4-month period. I wasn't. I can say that I was ready because only thing we see is dollar signs. But once you start to see the work that's involved in it, in my opinion, I think it takes a certain type of discipline to be ready. And so when I got that first client, I had already learned about our system. I had learned so many different marketing techniques. I had learned things about myself, what works and what doesn't work throughout that period. So when I was presented with some of the issues that I was presented with, opposed to me saying I don't know or just giving up or whatever, I was seasoned and ready to respond back to those questions. Right. So I tell everybody, don't base your success off what I've done or what other licensees have done. Base it off you. What are you going to be ready? So I just really think it depends on when you're ready. That's just the theory that I have. If you go into this business and just think that, and keep in mind, ABS is giving you the tools, but they can't go out there and get that client for you. So you can't go to training and say, well, they told me this and this is what I'm supposed to do, and I'm going to do the bare minimum, and then I'm going to get that first client. No, you need to go there, find out what works for you, and then put what works for you into action whenever you're going out marketing. Like me, I'm not one of those ones that's like knock on the doors and just talk to just random people. That's just not me. But at the same time, I found other techniques that will work for me, get me in the door, get me in front of the decision maker, and I can close the deal. And so I've kind of used that approach. Or, using some of your fellow colleagues, people that you may have went to school with, people that you maybe previously worked for, having them to send you over those warm referrals and say, this person is doing this. I know that this is a good person. I've worked with her before. So you just got to find a technique that works for you, and you have to be okay with, don't give up. Just keep going. Just keep going. Because that's what I had to do. I had to have a pep talk with myself so many times throughout that 4 months. Like, you can do it. It's okay. Don't take it personal. When they said no, it had nothing to do with you. It's just they didn't need your service at that time. So I just think if you adopt that technique, you'll be okay. Do not listen to this call and try to duplicate Tracy. It's not going to work for you, because I'm Tracy and you're whoever. Find out what works for yourself in order to be. Find out what works for you in order to be successful in this business. That would be my advice.
That is good advice, Tracy, because people do have sometimes high expectations for any business. But if it's a real business, what I call a real business, based on a real need out of the marketplace, one that's going to be here forever, never going to go away, because as long as there's sick people and doctors and insurance and Medicare, somebody's got to bill somebody for the doctor to get paid, right? This will be around. So is it worth putting in? Like you said, what if it took you 9 months to get a client? That client, once you've got them, can have residual income for you month after month after month at, well, $300,000 a month, even times 5% is pretty good income. So you've got to look at it long term, don't you?
Yep.
And
then you got to think about it. ABS is not a franchise. This is your own business.
Right.
So, and that's the uniqueness. That was something that grasped me, because I actually left training and I was able to grow my business the way I wanted to, not by what someone was telling me that I needed to do. And so you're in control. Once again, you're no longer an employee. You are the employer. You are the boss. So you have to think that way. Right. And you'll be successful. I really do feel that way.
I'm always amazed by you, Tracy, because you come across as a seasoned business owner, somebody who's run their business, been in marketing and sales for years. And that wasn't the case, was it?
No, definitely not. I've always had my salary, my 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. I'd never been in any type of business, so no. Mm-mm.
That just blows
I
me
had no
away.
idea. And that's something, I don't know if you remember, Pratchett, but at training on that Friday, me and Bonnie, she came over and she come to give me a hug, and I just started crying. I don't know if you remember. I was like the only one in the class crying. And she was like, "What is wrong?" And I was like, "I'm just so happy that I made the right decision. And I'm mad that it took so long." So I'm just telling you that if this is for you, it's going to work for you. But you just got to put in the work. I mean, I think this is one of the best decisions I could have ever made. It complements my lifestyle. I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 5 children that all likes to play sports, that's always involved in something. And then I'm a single parent sometimes 9 months out of the year because my husband is gone. And I needed something where I can be able to, if my kids have something going on, I can leave and say, I'm in control. I'm going on today on Thursday, and I'm not going to work from 9 to 12, and I'm going to be there with my children. And I also needed something that supported, if I move from here to Washington State, I can still operate this business because our services is cloud-based, and we only need an internet connection and an 800 number. That's all that I needed. So this fit right into my puzzle of what it is that I need, because before, we would get ready to leave, and I said, hey, well, guys, I have to put in my notice. My husband got orders for something else. And I would have to start over every time, over and over again. And some of my, in previous bosses would be like, oh, we don't want to lose you. You've been such a great asset to the company. Now I can call each one of my clients and say, I am relocating. And because I've done such a good job in doing their billing, they're not going to be concerned because they can care less about brick and mortar. They just want to make sure that the work is getting done. And so that is one of the benefits of, being an ABS licensee as opposed to being another licensee, if that's what you want to say, is that you can work anywhere.
Sorry, now you got me tearing up because I'm so proud of you. That is such an encouraging word from you, Tracy, because there are other people out there listening to this right now who have the very same fears that you had, the same questions, the same doubts. We all have self-doubts, right? That's what holds us back in life from anything success. And you've just overcome all that because, well, you had to.
Yeah, I had to. Yep, I had to. And it's profitable. It's profitable. And my kids, it's so weird, Patrick, because if you would ever meet them, I think they know so much medical terminology, it's ridiculous. I mean, because they see it, kids these days, at 3 years old, they're working a tablet, a computer, and can tell you, this is how you power it up or power it down. And so they're all, they're so interested in what it is that I do. And so when I go and meet these teachers, and the teachers are like, yeah, your son told me about your company and how it is that you get doctors more money, and you just be surprised of how much they're listening to you and paying attention to what it is that you're doing. And my 2 oldest boys were just, last week on spring break was just telling each other, well, I'm going to run the business. No, I'm going to run the business. So they're even excited to get into this business. And that's what I really, really wanted. When my husband decided to retire in the next 10 years or so, I can retire with him. And I will be able to be comfortable. So that was another thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to get in a business where that business did not run me and I ran the business. And I run the business. The business is definitely not running me.
So really you're building the business for your children as well, because you can turn that over to them at some point. I mean, that's why God gives you children, right? To put them to work so you can get a tax deduction and so they can support you, right, in your old age.
Exactly.
And so you're teaching them by example what American free enterprise entrepreneurship is all about. And that is what we need more of here in today's world.
When you go into business for yourself, guess what? You're in control.
Right.
You're in control of who you're going to do business with and who you're not going to do business with. And you're in control of setting your prices, not someone else telling you, well, I think you're only worth X amount of dollars. You're telling them, I'm worth this amount, and this is what I will charge you. And believe me, someone's going to give you a chance, especially if you came off as the expert and you know what it is that you're doing. Someone's going to give you that chance.
Everybody wants to work with somebody who they think knows what they're doing. And I tell people in this business, if you don't know it all, that's fine. You're a part of a network. You can tell them, let me check with my IT person back at the office. Let me check with my insurance person back at the office. I mean, You've got people,
Yep.
right? We're a part of your
Yep.
business. And since you have
Yep.
lifetime support, you literally can ask us anything you want anytime, and we'll be there.
And not only that, you have stories, because every one of us licensees have given some type of story of how it took us to get that first client or experience. And so when you're speaking to that client and you're like, what is it that I can use to be in common with them? I've maybe given you guys about 15 different stories that you can use. No, you didn't necessarily go through that experience, but the network that you are a part of went through that experience using the same tools that you're trying to give this client. So that's something you're not going to get anywhere else. You're not going to have 1,500 other people that you can plug into them and find out what worked for them or what they went through and how they handled that situation if you was to, do business somewhere else. And so that's what I did. Believe it or not, I've used some of those same stories I heard in training in speaking to a client.
Sure.
No, I didn't necessarily go through it, but someone that's a part of my network went through it. And when you can tell someone that you're a part of a network, it kind of speaks volumes that you just didn't go out and buy this software package and say, oh, I'm going to run this type of business. It kind of tells you that for this network to continue to grow as it has done over the past, 25 years now, Patrick?
Yep.
That it's got to be working. It's got to be working.
Yep.
And then Patrick and his wife started this, and look where he's at. So that right there, in my opinion, speaks volumes, because most people that started a business 20 years ago, how many times can you say that person that started that business is still at that business?
Yeah.
You really can't say that a lot.
Right.
You can't say that too often. And here with ABS, you can say that. The guy that started this company, him and his wife, is still a part of this company. Is still giving his personal time to speak with you at trainings, to do webinars such as this, to let you become a part of a network that can, or become a part of a business that can be very profitable for you. So, like I said, I'm just getting emotional now just thinking about it. All of the things that come with doing business with ABS, believing in yourself, doing the hard work. It's just like, it's a win-win situation. It's just win-win, in my opinion. It's win-win.
Well, do you have people working for you, and what do they do?
I do have 1099s, data entry.
That means independent contractors. Let me just explain that. 1099s for some people, that's independent contractors. They're not employees, and so they handle their own taxes and all that. You just basically pay them, and yeah, okay.
So I do have that, but here in the next maybe 3 months or so, we are going to go and transfer to an office location just because of new opportunities are coming available. So yes, I do have 1099s that's working for me for data entry. We've done the sales thing. Some have worked out, some have not worked out, but right now, consistently, what's been consistent with the business is the data entry specialist.
So you still work basically out of your home. It's a virtual company, in other words, right? Like we teach you.
Correct.
And the doctors don't care about that, right? They don't ask to come visit you.
No, they just want you to be able to do the billing. And the reason why I'm moving from home to an office location is because of the growth of the business now. If the business couldn't handle that, I've got my return on investment a long time ago. I definitely would not be doing it. And then also, I just want to separate work from home. Having that office space kind of tends to, I want to go in there and just do one last little thing. And so that's why we're looking at commercial spaces.
Well, Tracy, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to let you go. Any final words you want to share with anybody looking to get into this business?
Hey, don't wait 3 years like I did, because if you didn't, if I would have gotten into business 3 years ago, prior to when I did, I would definitely be have way more clients than what I do now. And I'm kind of like kicking myself in the rear end because I waited so long. So if you're thinking about it, don't let your hesitation be based off if ABS is a reputable company, because they are. They are who they say they are. And I promise they didn't stage or pay me to do this interview. It was voluntarily. So that would be my advice. Again, like I said, my success story is mine. Take some of my advice and see what works for yourself. Don't try to duplicate me. Become yourself and being successful.
Great. Thanks again, Tracy. Bye for now.
Bye.